Nigerians are sports lovers, and our love for sports cut across every divide, both male and female, both the young and the old. And this day, everyone has got a club which individuals are supporting. For example, you have clubs like Manchester United, you have clubs like Chelsea, Arsenal, and all of these has increased our love for sports and football, to be precise. Now, in talking about football, our love for football has birthed another thing, which is known as sports betting. Sports betting is prevalent amongst the youths, not just the youths alone, even the older generation as well, and both male and female. So on today's show, we'll be looking at sports betting and its effect on the mental health of those that are involved. I am the Grandmaster, and I have with me to discuss today's topic my usual suspects.
Ode, we'll be exploring the topic together, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Okay. I like your cap.
Thank
Would
you.
you want to tell me the name of your cap?
You want to sell me out? Is a Yoruba cap, fila.
You've just exposed yourself that you're not a Yoruba man. So, and to further discuss with me, I have two guests. One is a psychologist, and the other one is a sports personality. So, both of them will be doing justice to this topic today. So, on my right, with me, kindly introduce yourself, please.
I am Dr. Emmanuel Abayomi. I am a psychiatrist and a psychotherapist. My pleasure to be here. Thank you, Grandmaster.
All right, thank you. And to my further right, I have
Sulaiman Adebayo. People call me Puja. Of course, people in the sport world call me Puja, but officially on account details, you can call me Sulaiman Adebayo.
So, all right, but on this show, we'll be addressing you as Puja.
100%.
This is the Puja that everyone knows. Hard Knocks Podcast is brought to you by Walure Media. So, to start with, Puja, let me start with you. What is sport betting to an average Nigerian?
Well, I won't say it has a definition per se, but it's just a way of predicting the outcome of events. It could be sports, it could be generally sports, but of course, football is more popular in this part of the world. So you can say sport betting is predicting the outcome, and of course, you have to forecast, you have to research before you know the outcome, in quotes, potential outcome, because you don't know the eventual outcome. Of course, predicting the outcome of matches, games, and in general football.
Okay, to talk about predicting now, would you say predicting, betting are the same? Because my own knowledge now, predicting, you can predict an outcome without backing it up with, let's say, cash or a monetary reward. But betting is going further to back it up with a monetary reward. We have people in this part of the world they don't have issues with prediction, but when it comes to sports betting, they have an issue with it. So
I think it works. It's two sides of a coin, because if you don't predict, you can't play. If you don't forecast, you can't play. So in a way, what you do as a sport bettor or a sport punter is to actually research and predict the outcome of games. So when you now predict, you can put it anywhere. So that left for you, if you're a sport betting person, to now say, okay, fine, this outcome or this prediction, I want to put 2, 3 naira on this particular plan. So that's how it works. So some people actually do prediction and they don't bet. They have platforms like that. They will predict game for you. They don't bet. They just make sure that they research the statistics and the facts of maybe the sports events or the fixtures, and they put it out.
So what's it need for them if you're predicting and you're not betting?
Because there are platforms that are called prediction platform, so that you pay subscription to get, because if you want to predict a game, you have to spend hours. So there are people that are good in actually going to all those sites, prediction sites, where they see the stats, the facts about the particular game, and they forecast and predict for you. So they put it out there. So for you to now get those prediction packages, you have to pay for a subscription. So those people don't even play. But of course, because you want to make more money through betting, you now have to pay for that subscription to get those hours of predictions and play those games.
Okay, so Okay, I'm going to ask this now. You are a supporter of a football club, right?
Yeah.
What club do you support?
Real Madrid.
Real Madrid. Now, will your love for Real Madrid influence your prediction pattern? For example, let's say Real Madrid is playing against a Manchester United. Probably currently, let's say maybe Man U is better than Real Madrid. Would you not say because of your love for the club, it will influence your betting pattern?
No, I don't think so. You don't, if you're a punter, a better, you don't play like that. Even if you're a sport fan of
I
that
like
particular
that.
club,
Yes.
you don't bet like that.
Okay.
There's no sentiment when it comes to betting.
Because it's about the money.
No,
Straight up.
it's not even about the money. It's about the stats behind the game. If you are a Real Madrid fan and you know that this particular club they are playing next week, they always lose to them based on stats. You don't have to go with sentiment.
So it is devoid of emotions.
Devoid of some people play with emotions, which of course you can't. That was not out of place. But so many people, you have to forecast the game. You have to, research the games because it starts. You have to look at the head-to-head, the 5 matches between both teams. What the outcome is? It by goals? Is it by winning? Is it by corner kicks? So that inform your now betting pattern. But some people, I know some people, obviously, there's no way they always back their clubs. That's why you have so many people, you don't bet on your club because of the sentiment. So when you're watching your club, I don't want to play because there's no way, there's no sentiment. So just leave that particular team you support out of your tickets. And that'll be working for some people. But there's no way, I don't see anybody who wants to make money off betting that puts sentiment before the fact and starts behind any game.
Okay, now let's talk about the addiction parts. Now, would you say betting is an addiction, especially when it has to do with sports? Because we've seen people that are ready to bet with the last amount of money they've got on themselves. So, is it an addiction that it's a road that one cannot even get back from, or that cannot be recovered from?
Yes, thank you, Grandmaster. First, to put some context to what sports betting is, in addition to what you've said, there are 3 major factors to consider. The first is a consideration, something of value to you. A lot of times it is money. You have some money, it's of value to you. So that's the first. The second is there's a risk. You're taking a chance. There's no guarantee that what you're doing will bring you a win. So there is a consideration, the value you're putting down, money a lot of times. The second is the risk. And the third is the outcome, which could be, or which could also be called a prize. You lose or you win. Now, with this put in context, is sports betting an addiction? Not necessarily so. For many people, sports betting begins as a harmless fun, a form of entertainment. And of course, with the trying economic times a lot of people are going through right now, what motivates them to wagering on sports on prediction is purely financial. Bills are mounting, a lot of pressures from home, from school, children, parents. The accounts are not balancing. Now you need to make more money, and then sports betting seems attractive and appealing. So that drives them. For some people, it's boredom. So to answer your question, is it an addiction? Not necessarily so. Rather, there is a process to the addiction that can result from sports betting. It begins with your first few attempts at sports betting. For many people, the first time they do it, they win. And it gives them a rush, a dopamine rush, an emotional thrill. Oh, easy money, quick money, cheap money. And they want to try a second time, and then a third time. And before you know it, they begin to do it occasionally. Okay, I bet only for fun. I bet once a week, twice a week, until after a while, they cross the Rubicon, so to speak. They tip over the edge of the cliff, and it becomes a gambling addiction, a problematic form of betting. They can't escape from it. They begin to spend larger and larger amounts of money on sports betting. They begin to tell lies about their finances. They begin to call uncles, friends, family, and friends, hey, I need money. And then they throw it on betting. And then they do what we call chasing after one's losses. So they lose a game today. The next, they feel angry, they feel upset. The next morning, they come with some extra aggression to put in more money. And you find that their academic students, for example, their schoolwork begins to suffer. Young people who go to work, they stop going to work or they start appearing late at work, or they're at work, they zone out. They're out of where they should be. In their minds, they're in their mind thinking about the next game, and it takes a toll on them. And then you notice people run into trouble. I'll give you a good example. One of my patients, for example, started as a harmless fund, was throwing in money at the sports bet. He made a few money and he felt encouraged to put more money. And then his kids were about to resume school and he had little money. He felt, look, why not put this money into some sports betting so I can make a lot more money?
Too short odds.
Too short. And then he lost everything. And the next morning, he came with some aggression, called his friends, even took loans from his friends, took loans from loan shark apps, and then lost. It didn't start, the addiction didn't result overnight. It was a gradual process. It'd been on it for about weeks, months, 6 months before he ended up in this dark, deep hole of addiction. So from the very outset, it doesn't start as addiction. It's a harmless fun, a supposed quick way to make easy money. But if care is not taken, with time, it leads to the problem of addiction, not just addiction, speaking from my perspective as a psychiatrist. When weekend is approaching, they begin to have sleepless nights. They begin to dream and have fantasies about who's going to win. They are anxious. They begin to have panic attacks. Will I lose? Will I not lose? And then they can have anxiety problems because of that. And when they do lose, they can feel really very bad about themselves. Like the world has come to an end. Hey, my life has finished. I'm a failure. The guy, for example, who lost his money, can't pay school fees for his children who've resumed school. And his wife is asking, I thought you worked, you got some money at the end of the month. Where's the money? He's telling lies. Relationship problems, financial difficulties. And then the man is depressed, becomes suicidal. It's better I just kill myself and leave this world. I can't stand the people to face the shame. Responsible man like me, supposedly responsible man, they respect me, the community, in the society, and I'm in debt. Sports betting can lead downhill with time and leave people out in the cold with no clothes and nothing on when it becomes an addiction.
Okay, so my question is to Pooja. So you talked like you have experience in terms of how to manage sports betting. He said it's not an addiction. So, and knowing your Twitter page, it's a gog with sometimes. I won't tell you if I've used your code anyway. But so how do you bet responsibly? Because when you see all of these apps, 18 plus, bet responsibly and all of that, how do you really, is it practical to say somebody should bet responsibly? Especially in this our economy, where some people have taken it, they don't have jobs. That's their job. I'm telling you for a fact. They go to these bet houses, some people sleep. That is just their job. How they count their profits, I don't know. So how is it practical to bet responsibly?
Well, I'll speak, generally, and of course, for myself. I think I have a pattern, and the most important thing for bettors or people that bet is, we have disposable income, and you have to bet with, in quotes, we always say it's what you can afford to lose. So when you have like amount of money that is spare, you can use it. But when you are dipping your money into your real savings, that's the problem. That's where the doctor is coming from. That when you now started getting to where you don't have to touch the money, that means it's getting to addiction. And because there's no regulation per se in this part of the world, and people just do as they want and they bet as they want without regulation, and that's what happened. Let me give you an example. So a time ago, I was in the UK, and they are big in retail shops. So sometimes I have this £1. I feel like when I get to this £1, let me just use it to go and play. So there was a particular betting shop around Coventry. So I was going there every time to bet, just £1. So in a week it would be like £12. That is not a big money, but the receptionists have been seeing me every time. I'm always very obvious with my Ankara, with my tinted beards, and they feel like this guy has been coming. I think the next week, I saw some guys just stop me on the way, approaching the betting shop and say, okay, fine, they want to see me. They were agents, betting agents, regulatory bodies. And they felt like they've seen my pattern. I've been betting consecutively for 1 week. It's a small amount of money, but they know eventually that it can get to that other part. So in this part of the country or the world, we don't have regulators. People always bet because there's a pattern. People, there's so many adverts, 18 plus, but people are adults. If there's no regulations, people will always overdo. And that's where the addiction will come.
When you say no regulation, I know there is a National Lottery Commission. Is it like they are not doing their jobs, or why?
It's not really effective, because even some betting platform abroad, when they see your betting pattern and they see that you are losing a lot of money in a particular month, they will block your account. That is the responsibility even from the betting platforms. But in this part of the world, the betting platform doesn't even want you to stop. They want to run you to the end of your time. So they don't want to stop you. So that is where the regulators have to come in and, do a lot of people like doctors to do, workshops, adverts to enlighten people about the dangers of bet addictions. But there's nothing like that on TV. It's only adverts on betting. There's no gambling responsibly campaign that have been launched in this part of the world in like 10 years. So in a way, if you are not as me, you don't have regulators, you can go astray. I do something on Mondays. I do bet-free Mondays. I still have some people that still come to my DM and say, Baba, we won't do Monday now. They go drop code on Monday. I say, no, it's bet-free Monday for me. It's for me to check my balance sheet, my losses, my wins, and then reflect. That's why I always say, do you have a bet budget? So by Tuesday, I know my bet budget and I know I want to go. That's my own way. And I've tried as a bit to actually convince some people to actually have that orientation as well. But of course, it's 18 plus. You can't really, put rope on people's neck. So if regulators can come with, workshops, with, programs, in a way, it can actually help some people. Not everybody, but it will cut down to the excesses of addiction of betting.
So let me hold you there before we get to doctor. When you say, don't you, because this, I feel we have too many bet platforms. In fact, even our celebrities are there. It's as if every ex-Nigerian footballer is affiliated to one bet platform. That's where they easily get brand sponsorship, right? So don't you our government, is it not, don't you think it can't happen where they regulate properly? Because the more businesses spring up, the more taxes they pay. So if you have a bet platform, let's say 1xBet, or what's the most famous now? Not Bet Nigeria, Sportybet.
Yeah, Sportybet.
And it's cutting you. You know where you said you go to drop £1 and they stop you. If you do that, it means less tax for the government. The more money you bring, the more. So don't you think that is why it can't happen?
I think, we have to, people always do this mistake that we have so many betting platforms in Nigeria. It's not even up to the level of the European countries, even US. And in terms of our population, we still have shortage, in quotes, of betting platforms.
Wow.
In a way, it looks saturated, but if you look at the percentage of other countries in terms of with their population, it's even still low. Okay. And the reason why ex-internationals are doing this now is when they are active in football, they can't do betting. So now that they're out of football, you're not affiliated to any club or any organization. You now have to find money. There's no active money that is coming, so you have to go to sport betting as ambassadors. So for people like that, for governments, it's not about tax. It's about just regulating. Regulate well, and even if you regulate well, you can even still make more money from regulation, because at the end of the day, all these betting platforms have to come on board. Of course, they have to pay. If you are doing so many programs, government will pay tax, you pay this. Doctors will make more money. It will be like a full-fledged, betting market. But because we are just tapping on tax, we are not seeing the effect it's having on the citizen. Because right now, because of even the current situation of the country, the pool of new bettors or people that wants to bet is now crazy. I get DMs like, I want to choke. because people are asking for codes, for codes, for codes. Today alone, it's almost 12 o'clock. I've not dropped anything. I've seen people like early morning bets now, Baba, because there's Australia games, early morning, there's US games. They want to play in the morning, and in the afternoon when they have the Champions League, they still want to play. So if there is a proper way to manage these betting companies, manage their back end like is done in Senna Climb, like in the UK, there's no way. They stopped me. They blocked my account because, and it wasn't a large sum of money. Like doctor said, some people put all their money on this, and if you see from back end, you should know or that this person is in trouble. But because there's no regulation, we don't care. We just continue to get the money, ruin the person, because at the end of the day, you just need one person to win. There's a blow up about winning, and you put more people come on board, and you ruin them. So I just feel like we are not doing much when it comes to regulation, and I think maybe this show can actually be like a message to them.
For the ex-internationals now, I don't want us to deviate. So before we go to majorly the health part, for the ex-internationals now, you sort of made a case for them. Yeah, they can't bet when they are. Of course, we know the gambling rules for footballers because they may be able to influence this thing. But don't you think it's an irresponsible thing to finish your football career with all the wages they get, right? And then what you are going into is betting, where a lot of underage people are stealing monies to go and bet. Like the attendant effect it has on families in the long run, especially when you look at underage betting. In fact, that's even my fear. Right? It says 18 plus, but trust me, you can't even count you have more fathers fighting their children not to bet. The kids are in secondary school. So don't you think it's an irresponsible thing for an ex-footballer, instead of you to finish your football career, come to own health centers, better foundations for education, better businesses? You can even become a podcaster now, like Mikel Obi is doing, or you go into television and a lot of things. There are opportunities. Don't you think it's so irresponsible that this is what they are now? Osaze Odewingi said something. I think it was during COVID, that a bet company, I think he's affiliating that to his Christian beliefs now, offered him huge sum of money to influence for them. And he said, no, it doesn't sit well with him. So that's what I'm just thinking.
Well, I think, one thing for ex-footballers or anybody is sport betting in a way is not illegal. It's legal in grand scheme of things. So if ex-footballers get involved in betting platforms, they're not doing anything out of place. They're not breaking any laws. They're not breaking any rules. And they are making more money. If you're talking about Mikel Obi, he has a betting company he influenced for. So all these monies, because I think only betting companies play mad amount of money now in the economy. If you influence for them, if you're a brand ambassador, you get a lot of money. And because of the traction from your ex-footballers, they always want to use ex-footballers because they know they have a lot of followers.
Yeah.
And in a way, too, they put their money out of, from those for CSR work as well. So if you say it's irresponsible, no, because they're doing something that is legal in the context of Nigerian laws. Okay. So what is just left? And that's what I'm saying. So if you are getting a lot of money from them, if there's a policy by the government that says, okay, fine, 50% of your ambassadorship money is going to CSR, or is going to programs to do a workshop for this, betting addiction, it can work. There's, of course, if you are in the UK, there are a lot of tax. There are a lot of tax in your salary that is for the government. So if they put it on, on these ex-footballers, it can actually be balanced. So you get a lot of money from them, use some of the money for CSR and some of this workshop. But it's just one way.
Poja, please let me interrupt you. I hope I can.
Yeah.
Now, these ex-internationals, they're doing this for the money, right?
100%.
So, don't you think if they really need money, they should actually go and do sports betting proper themselves, rather than mislead millions of youth?
I think, for betting platforms,
it is legal, right?
No,
so is alcohol legal once you're 18 and above. Yes. So is tobacco smoking legal when you're 18 and above. But it's ruining lives. These ex-internationals, during their active footballing careers didn't do sports betting.
Hmm.
They attained some level of success, and perhaps now they are broke, they need money, and they know how to get money because of your brand you built over the years. Go become an ambassador. If they really want to help these young people, tomorrow's future leaders, why not encourage them to become something in life? Go to school, get an education, go to football academy, become a footballer. You make money through that. Legal money, clean money, a bit longer lasting money than throw your life away. Time you should spend in school studying. You see these boys watching football games. You're watching a football match, you're not the one playing. You're paying to watch a football match. You're paying to see. It gets more interesting. They're paying you to predict scores for them. Now there are some prediction platforms. They don't play. They only predict and get money because they know playing is very risky. And I'll leave you with a question, really. There is one sure winner every time someone bets. You know who that is?
The betting platforms.
So let's call a spade a spade. However you twist it, if you bet, you're only making one person rich. Is the betting company.
So that is why I always come from the regulatory part of all these things. So you can't win. They always say you can't win the house. You can't win the betting platform because if you pick 20 games, you're waiting for 20 games to come. They're waiting for just one game to come. So what's the probability? That means they're on the other side of making more money than you. But if you are so disciplined enough, there's so many things, so many workshops that is enlightening people. That's why I always tell people, have a bet budget. One, make sure you bet with what you can afford to lose. And once you are getting into that part of using your extra money, your real savings to bet. I was in the UK, I was using £1. £1 would not affect me in any way. But they could see that this is getting too much because they see the consecutiveness of me trying to bet in a month, in a week. And they said, okay, guys, stop. Now imagine if we have people like that because we have BVN. So when you register in the betting platform, it cut across other betting platform or NIN. So if they lock you out here, you can't go and bet, you can't go and open another place. And that's what works in the UK. But here, nobody stop you from, even trying to bet. Nobody regulates you. That's why we have underage people that can register on betting platform. It's 18 plus, right? But people can forge so many things. They can afford their DOP.
You're right. Permit me to interrupt you again. You say a lot of people are in your DMs. Are you able to verify their ages?
That's the problem. So the betting platforms, so if you use NIN to register, if there's a good regulators in this country and we have NIN, there's no way you can lie that you're not 18 plus. If you want to do, if you want to do what's it called? You want to do Mago NIN, it's not possible. But because you can just put any date of birth on platforms, and once you open this platform, the other platform doesn't even know that you're on board. It's just like account details. If I do anything in GTB, they will know UBA. But it's not something like that on betting platforms. So if they block me on betting A, I can go to betting B and open. I can go to betting C and open. And I can say I'm 14 year, I'm 14 year, I'm 13 year. So there's no regulation. So it's so saturated that we don't have that body that regulates and I can have multiple accounts and multiple different faces.
I think one thing we should realize is the betting industry is evolving. I don't think there's a basis for Nigeria being compared with maybe the likes of the UK or the Western world because betting has been in existence for long there. That's sports betting. Now, here it is evolving. The regulatory framework here, I think it speaks more to the betting companies than the individuals. So I believe when we have sensitization like this, there are things that government will take out of it. Okay, maybe if we do this, we can improve on the regulatory framework that is in place.
Yeah.
So we have to consider that. Now, that takes me to another thing now that could it be that government feels, we've always been talking about the economic situation that we find ourselves. And to tell ourselves the truth, Nigeria has always had economic problems. It didn't start now. It didn't start in the 2090s, 80s, even back in the 70s. It has always been there. Now, we are all complaining about the economic situation of the country, and yet people are still betting. How do we reconcile the two together? Because sometimes when you say, okay, people are broke, then you go to pubs, lounges, you see people drinking, whining and dining, and you ask yourself, what is happening? Is it the same country that people are saying is broke? So same thing applies to the betting industry as well. You have people betting here and there. So how do you reconcile this now? Could we still say it's because they have no other choice? They're seeing it as a shortcut. Because human being actions are influenced by two things, either pleasure or pain. Pleasure in the sense that I want to make money. It excites me to bet. Pain in the sense that I have no other choice. I'm seeing this as the low-hanging fruit for me to make money other than the other one. So how do you reconcile these two?
Yes, you're right. And it's pretty very straightforward. Say you have a bill to pay of 100,000 naira that will be due next week, Monday. And you've done all you know to do today. Tomorrow is Thursday and it's Friday. All you have is still 10K. You've called all your friends. They all say the same story, that they are broke. And then Saturday approaches. It's the weekend, the Premiership, the La Liga. Now you're paying. You're responsible, man, a responsible young lady. You don't want to be caught napping. You must pay this bill. So that pain drives some people to go, okay, just this is a very sure bet. Put in 1K, you get something, put in 10K. So you're tempted to want to put in something, especially when you hear stories from a tiny fraction of the people who bet, who win. Just a few stories, very tiny, less than 1% of those who bet actually win. And then your brain plays a trick on you. Some even go as far as fasting and praying, God, this is my last chance. God, something very funny. Now that pain drives them. For many people, in the light of the present economic challenges, that's what drives them. It's a tiny fraction who have a lot of money to spare, like Pooja here, who just put in that little tiny bit. If you liken the illustration you made about people complaining being broke and then at the clubs, at the pub, drinking and partying, it's similar. For some, it's the extra cash they have. They just want to go unwind and have a good time. For some others, they just met with some devastating setback in the workplace. And the little money they have, they all just want to go drink and drown their sorrows and drown themselves and dull the pain they feel. For some, it's pleasure. For some, it's pain. Similar for betting. And I think the more important question is what Pooja is saying, regulation. It's important that if the government makes a lot of money from betting, the betting companies make millions of money, and the ex-internationals also make lots of money from it. So, should we throw the baby with the bathwater? I won't say no. The regulations, the regulatory bodies, I'm aware there's a Lagos State regulatory body on betting, and they're doing some fantastic work, though a lot still needs to be done on that. What I would suggest is the age. Research has shown that the brain is not fully matured, especially there's a part of the brain we call the prefrontal cortex. It's just around here in your brain. That's what helps you with decision making. Executive function. You plan, you have foresight, what do you want to do with your life. Helps you weigh risk and benefits, whatever action you want to take. For young people who are less than 18, that place is not fully developed yet. So if they try betting, because that place is not fully developed yet, they get a dopamine rush, that place is affected. So the place becomes handicapped and they just become easy prey to addiction. They are more likely to become addicted to gambling, to addiction, especially gambling addiction, if they try it before the age of 18. And then young people, if you remember when you were a teenager, you're more given to risk taking. The thrill that comes from taking one risk or the other. Young people are also more vulnerable to risk taking. I remember how I defined sport betting. There is an element of risk to it. So if young people are exposed to sport betting, that thrill in them, that love for adventure in them, that novelty seeking in them, overpowers them. Their ability to make right or wrong decisions, to do cost risk benefit analysis is poor. So they go on and take such decisions without thinking of the long-term consequences. So the people that should be protected right now are young people less than 18 years. And I'm not saying those who are above 18 are totally off the hook. They are also vulnerable. But more importantly, the young people should be protected. So what's the cause of this? Many reasons. Number one, the society, the media, social media, conventional media. You come online, you see sports betting adverts everywhere. That gets into people's subconscious and they want to try it out. What's this all about? And then poverty, socioeconomic realities. You won't be surprised if you find some parents goading their children on. Look at your mates. See, they are making money from sports betting. What are you doing at home? Because the pressure is hitting really very hard. Some young people need to fend for themselves. And then we should not forget the place of mental illness that drives people to sports betting. Some people have anxiety disorders. Some people have depression on the side. And they want to self-medicate. They don't know how to make themselves feel good. When they go do sports betting, take some risk. That dopamine rush that comes from makes them feel better. And for some people, it's just outright boredom. They are bored. They have nothing to do. They have lots of energy. There's nowhere to channel this energy into. Sports betting coming is a really very tempting alternative. And they want to get into it. These are some of the things that drive people to sports betting. And then you think there's no money. It doesn't really cost so much, like Poja would say, to bet against somehow. It doesn't cost so much. With 1,000 naira, I guess you can do that, right? And how the sports betting company make money is if 1 million young Nigerians this Saturday, for example, all over Nigeria, put in 1,000 naira each into one sports betting company, you know how much that translates to? 1 billion naira just in one day. There's no money really, but when you put these little sums together, it adds up to a lot of money.
So, excuse me. Now, talking about the mental health.
Yeah.
Now, the after effects of betting, there are always two outcomes.
Yeah.
Either you win or you lose. Now, if you win, fine. You are excited. But if you lose, there are several after effects. We will talk about so many disorders.
Yeah.
Now, how do you handle such as an individual?
Yes, thank
And
you.
maybe also for someone who feels that I've done enough. I think it's time to go, time to stop.
Yes, thank you. I'll start by saying when it comes to addiction from sports betting, the preferred cure is don't start at all. Prevention is about the only cure. All right. Now, for those who find themselves in it, the reality is there's no winning when it comes to sports betting because Poja has been betting for a while now. He has not stopped. He's still doing that. He loses. When are you going to stop? I don't know. So when you win, you don't stop and go do something else. You pivot into something else. You are hooked. You want to keep doing it. And I'm not sure you're really winning because before you know it, you're addicted to it. And one day you have a major loss and everything, you're devastated. So for those who win, you get some thrill, but it's a trick to want to tempt you to keep doing it until you lose one day and eventually you lose. Now, for those who lose, it can be very devastating. The little money, like they say on the street, money will no reach before. You don't come lose them again for sports betting, can be devastating. Now, yes, I'd like you to know it's not the end of the world. You made a mistake. Yes, we all make mistakes. We've all messed up at one point or the other in our lives. It's not the end of the world. Now, it's important to seek help. Reach out to someone. Speak to someone. The real temptation is after a loss, you want to chase after your loss. The next morning, you want to come with aggression and bet. No, don't do that. You're not going to win. The only person that will win is the sports betting company. So seek help. Speak up. There is no shame in crying for help. Crying for help does not make you weak, does not mean you're a loser. You've lost some money, right? But you're still a human being. There's still a lot more going for you. There's still a lot you can accomplish with your life in spite of whatever losses you may have suffered. It can be difficult. Some people share success stories of how by themselves they quit sports betting. Congratulations, good news. For some others, they need help, and it's okay to seek help. So I would say for now, if you're struggling with addiction, you find yourself telling lies to your spouse, your neighbors, your family and friends about your finances, you find yourself betting, increasing larger amounts of money to bet, you find yourself asking people for money, not to get additional degrees or certifications, but to throw into sports betting. January 1st, you made a New Year resolution. I'm not going to bet again this year. And you find yourself 2 weeks into the New Year betting on your birthday. I'm not going to do this. You find yourself doing that. And then you find that your waking thoughts, wake up first in the morning, you're checking the predictions for that day. Before you go to bed, even while at work, when you should be working, you're on your
checking.
phone. That's preoccupation. It's occupied a huge part of your life. And then you're anxious, you're stressed. In your head, all there is you're thinking about is sports betting. You need help. Please speak up. Seek help from a professional and you can be helped.
So cryptocurrency, I know we know that word, works. It's similar or it's the same thing? Because first of all, there should be you analyze the market, you stake, you make your predictions, and then you commit funds, right? Value. But why is that seen like it's more responsible? People can boldly come out and say, I'm a crypto trader, both those that are lying. And then when somebody says I'm a punter for sports, they look at the person like he's doing something, because I'm trying to see, are they not the same thing? Really? Or have you encountered clients from that crypto market too that are battling any mental disorder as a result of that market? So my question really is, why is that seen, is that glorified, and then sports betting looking like the same thing for me? Why is it why are people that do that, why are they
The
crucified?
way Fuja is looking at it.
Well, it's unfortunate now that crypto gets the flowers and sports betting gets shamed and dragged wrongly. Right. About cryptocurrency, I am not a financial expert, and I'll tell you what I think from my perspective as a psychiatrist and as a human being who also has financial needs. Some people are on this side of the divide. Crypto, no. It's too volatile a market. It will ruin and mess with your mental health. And some others are on this other extreme of the divide that, oh yeah, go all in into crypto. You make a lot of money. There are success stories of people who reportedly have made lots of money. I would say don't be on either end of the extremes. If anything, if you want to do crypto, perhaps you be somewhere in the middle. The much I've read about crypto, about the most sensible piece of advice is put only disposable income in crypto because it's pretty very volatile and the reasons are not too far-fetched. There's a greater fool's theory attached to the workings of cryptocurrency. In other words, you buy some crypto, you keep them, hoping that it will rise, and someone who is more foolish than you are will buy it at a higher rate than you bought, and he also keeps and waits that someone more foolish than he is. So it's the greater fool, it's that cycle that continues. So I'm not sure for your mental health, for the anxiety, the stress that comes with that, you want to put all your money into crypto. That's going to ruin your mental health. And when you lose, and I've had a few clients who lost money in crypto and were devastated, became totally depressed, and needed admission and their treatment. Well, thankfully, they are back on their feet now. They're doing pretty very well. So if you're going to put money in crypto, make sure you do all your research, do all your findings, and don't put in all your money. Well, you can as well go and put in all your money, but the mental health risk associated with that can be very, very devastating. These are my thoughts on
So doctor,
crypto.
I want to take you up on something. Yes, your answer, but in your answer, you still seem like you were a little bit more soft when we're talking about crypto. For sports betting, it was like, don't even try
Went
it.
very hard.
Yeah, you were very hard. So why is it? Or your money is also in crypto?
No, well, interestingly, I don't have any money in crypto. The reason is this: for sports betting, we have in research have properly documented consequences
Okay.
from sports betting. How people become addicted to it. People come down with anxiety disorders, people come down with depressive disorders. And then I am not sure you would see the face of any ex-international behind a crypto. I'm not sure that's in Lagos. But for sports betting, you find everybody's faces on sports betting glorified. There's a lot of advocacy on it. So forgive me for being hard. Just as they are advocating sports betting, I'm also advocating your mental health. Don't do sports betting because you mess with your mental health. Maybe when they start advocating actively for crypto, that do crypto, maybe you also see my face as an ex-ambassador or something. Also advocating strongly to ruin your mental health. So that's my answer, my take on that, please.
So between crypto and sports betting, Which is more volatile?
I would say don't just bother trying any of this. Look for more sustainable means of making money. If you are 18 and below, go to school, read your books, learn a skill, acquire a skill. It will be tough and painful at the moment. Go through that painful process of learning and acquiring a skill. Become a doctor like I am. Well, I am not rich. You may not become rich, but at least you will not be broke. Like sports betting will make you broke. You know, become suicidal, anxious, or depressed. Like sports betting almost likely will make you become like the grandmaster, be as rich as he is. Become like, well, I'm not sure,
Puja is
You
rich.
don't
I'm
feel
not
comfortable
rich.
using Puja as an example.
but not from not from sports betting. I beg you. But there are more important things you can do with your time as a young person that have a higher chance. Go to school, get some certifications online, become a tech pro. I can tell you for free that if you learn a skill, for example, say you learn cloud computing, for example, in 6 months you become certified, you get paid and you make money without betting against any hurt, without paying Puja, without going to Puja's DM to ask for scores for the day. I'm sorry, Puja. I hope I'm saying. These are more reliable, more sustainable ways of making money. You stand a better chance. Even if you're not cut for the academia, go learn barbing. You stand a better chance making money from learning barbing and working as a barber than you do from sports betting or crypto.
Okay, all right. Puja, I like the fact that you're an advocate of responsible betting. At least you have other things that you do. I know you travel a lot with the Super Eagles for different international matches. I see a lot of things you do within the media space. Now, how do we promote sports betting? Responsible sports betting, let me put it that way. How do we promote it? Now, you said what you do on your own part is things that you know that, okay, even if you lose, you don't have issues with that. But for others out there, they do not have that self-control. So how do we promote responsible sports betting, even if we can't stop it?
Well, I think since the regulators have left punters or bettors on their own, I think most influencers now, what they do is try to regulate or try to maybe educate their followers or their players, and that's what some betting companies don't like me, and I have to say it. They don't like me because I preach so many. I don't push so many call to order for brands in a way. And they feel like, okay, I have the influence, I have a lot of followers, you're a big person, you're a big influence, let's pay you. And when I see, the brief, I say, I don't want to do. Because I want you to have that self-responsibility for yourself as well. Because one thing that is good for you as well is to be accountable for yourself. So don't let the influence come from the external people. So that means if you are done with, you can actually go to a psychiatric or somebody to just help you. But if you are being influenced from the external, it messes you up. So from our own part as well as influencers of these betting platforms, we do the regulating ourselves. Like me now, like I told you, on Mondays I don't do betting because I want to reflect. And I've found a way because I have a Telegram community, I have huge following on X. I always tell them and they always come to my DM. Now I have a lot of DMs on Mondays and I've been able to regulate a large chunk of them to not bet. So going forward now, I now say, okay, fine, bet with what you can afford to lose. So in your own subconscious now, we are trying to put it in place. So if we are doing it as influencers, as maybe ambassadors, and we have the regulators and they are doing it very actively as well, and we have the likes of doctor, working with the regulatory body, working with government to regulate and do these workshops, I think we can fight both angles. I'm not doing any sport betting. I have a lot of things I do and I make money off. And if I stop influencing for brand today, I still have my jobs going on. And we have some people too who are into betting like that. And of course, they have other jobs. So if I stop betting in a way, I'm a very strong personality that can convince a lot of people. And that's what we want to do in the market. But because the betting companies are so powerful and the regulators are so maybe afraid of them, because if they stop them or do some certain things to them, they will not, because they do a lot of adverts. They make a lot of money on them. They make a lot of, tax money from them. So there's no way to really regulate the big boys in the industry. And even the to join to start a betting platform in this country is like 1 billion. So if I use 1 billion to enter, you cannot regulate me in a way. I'll be telling you as a regulator, I need to make my money back. So there's a lot of, rules and, framework that needs to be addressed. And of course, if doctors like this can come on board, do so many, programs, workshops, people like us, influencers as well, we can reduce, not really to the effect. And at the end of the day, the major thing I always advocate for is to have a NIN for registration so that you can cut across. Because like doctor said, the 18 downwards are the people who are more exposed. If you go to betting shops, the retail shops, you see people. You can just stay like this and you see kids flowing into the shops because there's no regulation. And because there's no regulation in registration. So if you can do so, all those stuff and bring it together, it will reduce sport betting, but it will come back at least to a minimum percentage of people going to sport betting addiction or, of course, going to depression. But unfortunately, we are still very young. But, if these other variables come on board, I think we can do better.
All right, thank you very much. You've heard from our guests. Sports betting has come to stay, whether I would like it or not. The impact of sports betting on our populace and the mental health cannot be underestimated. So, but one thing they've suggested is if you can only bet with what you can part with. If you know you can't part with a certain amount of money, don't start at all. If you cannot bear the heat in the kitchen, don't get into it. So if you know you cannot handle the after effects, don't start at all. If you can handle it, bet responsibly. And to our government, let's ensure that the regulatory framework we have for the betting industry is strengthened so that both the betting companies and the populace themselves can be well protected. Thank you very much for watching today's episode. And to my guests, thank you for being on the set. Hope to see you guys another time. Cheers.